Hi everyone! So today I'm going to make a really special birthday card and it is going to be butterfly themed. I'm going to use some of the products that I have from Chloe's Creative Cards, which I purchased a while ago and I've not used not as much as I would have liked to so far anyway. So I was pretty excited to get starting with this card. So the products that I have here on my screen are the Butterfly Cascade 3D embossing folder and the butterfly dreams and the butterfly frame, beautiful butterfly frame stamp and die sets are optional. I will only be using some of the dies from those, but you can skip that. I will explain how when it comes to that. So the main attraction for my card today is this butterfly cascade embossing folder, and it is such a gorgeous one. So the stamp and die sets do have matching dies. So you can see from one of these, I take out the biggest one and it would cut out that butterfly. And from the beautiful butterfly frame stamp and die set, you can see there's lovely, lovely butterflies all around that wreath. And all the butterflies have some matching dies to cut them out with. However, I will only be using 3 that also matches the embossing folder, the butterflies on the embossing folder. So it's a very matching set, but you could hand cut these butterflies out. So you don't need to have the dies. If you don't have those, you can still make this beautiful card. The card today was inspired by one of Chloe's makes, which she made, I seen 2-3 months ago on her Facebook page, and it was like a quick short video, and I'm doing this from memory now, but it was pretty much inspired by a pink floral card she made. Today I'm using butterflies and I'm gonna go purple because the lady who is getting this card, her favorite color is purple. And another die set that I will be using is the scalloped and pierced ovals nesting die set. Of course you can use any ovals that you have in your stash. I love this because every second one in this set is a scalloped and every other is a pierced straight edge, so it's quite a good variety. With the fourth one down, I cut out an oval of white cardstock and ran it through my embossing machine, and I did another piece of cardstock as well, just to emboss these. And this one doesn't matter what shape of a cardstock it is, I will be cutting out the butterflies from those. So I used some low-tack tape and run them through my die cutting machine. These butterflies came out very much really detailed. I was expecting them to flatten those designs down a bit and having to run them through again. I will show you a little close-up now. Look how gorgeous and detailed they still came out. Even those little ones that I will show you in a wee second. They're still pretty detailed. But if your die cutting machine might flatten these down, it can happen. I was expecting this to happen to these ones. It's very easy just to pop them back into place. You see, they just kind of click, wriggle back in place, and you can run it through again to get all that detail back. But as I said, you don't need the dies, you can just hand cut these. I've done that before, and I will link to it in the description box below. It's a gorgeous floral embossing folder. It was a while ago, a year or two ago, I posted that one, but it is a really gorgeous card as well. So I'm using 2 different distress sock sidings, shaded lilac and wilted violet. I started off with the shaded lilac and I went all over that oval. I ink blended it, leaving it a bit lighter towards the middle, and then on the edges I added wilted violet, and then I came back with the lighter shade, the shaded lilac, just to blend it all in. And this was just done very quickly, very roughly, no big ink blending skills needed at all. As you can see, it looks like quite a hot mess right now, but that will come to life as we keep working on this oval. I will come back to those butterfly die cuts in a minute, but first of all, I'm taking my fine tip glue bottle, and I have art glitter glue in this one. And first of all, I'm going around, if you like, painting with the glue in all around those swirls that is in the embossing folder. It's quite easy to see and they are quite easy to follow. You just keep going and adding glue to all of those. And then I will add you may have already guessed by now, glitter to these. And it will come out so gorgeous and sparkly, and you don't have to be very precise in here. So for the swirls, I'm using green glitter, and this is the Stardust green. This is so fine and super sparkly. You'll see it on the close-ups at the end of this video. I also came in with the same glue bottle, adding some glue to the wings to some of the butterflies. Just the wings, and I'm not doing all the butterflies at all. I'm just picking randomly some here and some there. And I'm adding quite a thick layer of glue in here, so it will take a little minute to dry. So just if you're gonna do this, just keep that in mind. You might need to set this aside for a wee while. So I picked out 4 butterflies that I'm going to add my crystalline glitter to. Now you can see it is still very white and opaque, but that glue will dry clear. But distress oxide inks being water reactive inks, and the glue that I used is water-based adhesive. It will react to the adhesive, so it will change the color. I already made one in advance that is already drying there, and can you see some of the glue is still not properly drying there, but some of the butterflies you can pick up. It changed that purpley color into like a pinkish one. You will see this much more on close-ups at the very end of this video. In here it doesn't really show up, but when you compare those two on the left side, I'm not sure why I'm so off center in there, but it will dry clear and it will change the color of those butterflies to slightly pinkish, which I'm very happy about because it will work very well with the papers that we will be using. But first, let's add some color to these butterflies. I'm just bringing in my brush that I used earlier for ink blending, and I'm not adding any fresh ink just yet. I'm just adding from the residue left on the brush a bit of wilted violet on each of the butterflies, and this idea came from the packaging of the embossing folder itself. And I'm just going in the middle of those butterflies. I'm not adding them all over the wings. I'm leaving the edge of the wings white. So now I've dipped it back into the ink pad to add some heavier layer towards the middle or towards the body of the butterflies, so it kind of creates an ombre look, I guess. And now I have to add, of course I have to add some glitter to these too, and this is pretty easy. All I'm doing with the fine tip glue bottle, I'm just going around the edges of the wings. I'm not adding it to the body, not to the antenna. I am just very simply outlining those wings. I do that to all 4 butterflies. And then I will bring in my chunky crystallina glitter this time. This is not the fine crystallina, this is the chunky one with much bigger pieces in it. And I'm adding it to all of those butterflies. Now this would be much easier than with the tweezers, but I couldn't find a pair of tweezers on my craft table, so I just used my hands to hold the antennae. Now to the body of the butterflies, instead of the rhinestones as shown on the embossing folders packaging, I'm using glitter, and this is the Lilac Frost, and it is such a pretty color. I've had this in my stash for a while, and I definitely don't use it enough because it's so pretty, really beautiful colors in it. So I just added this to the body of each butterfly, again only to the bodies, not to the antenna, not to the body or the wings of the butterfly. Just went in the middle. I realized that took away from the little detail on the bodies, but it will still look beautiful. It's can't have it all. I wanted to have glitter today. So I already prepared some of these in advance because obviously the ones that I just prepared need to be set aside to dry. So these are the ones that I prepared in advance, and this is how they will sit on top of those butterflies on the oval die cut. The top one there will be flying off a bit because obviously the oval, I couldn't fit the whole design of the embossing folder on it. And here I already attached a 7 3/4 of an inch squared silver holographic cardstock on top of an 8 by 8 inch card base. And I've cut a piece of paper from the fabulous Fluorescent Flutters paper pad to 7.5 inches squared. I edged it with glitter using my chisel tip glue pen. I just dragged it along the 4 edges and I dipped it in crystallina glitter. I done that ahead of time because I like to give it a little time to dry before working with it. And now I'm making sure that it is all nice and centered. I used another pieces of paper from the Leafy Lace collection paper pad, which is a gorgeous one. I love using this because there's so many colors in there, and one side of each paper is a darker shade and the other side is a lighter shade. Today I'm going to use the lighter shade of the pink and the lilac-y purple in there. So I cut the pink one to 7 inches squared, the lilac one to 6 3/4 of an inch squared. Again, the lilac one was edged with some glitter you can just about pick up. And this pattern paper from the same paper pad I showed earlier on, cut to 6.5 inches squared, popped up on foam pads and edged with the crystalline glitter as well. So this pink and lilac set that I already glued together is popped up on some foam pads as well. I just like that extra dimension on my cards. I think it just adds that extra bit of a wow factor to them, but it is quite optional. You don't have to add foam pads, or you can add it to much less layers than I'm doing on this card in here. I find this lilac ribbon in my stash, which I thought matched perfectly with the colors on this card. So I am adding, this is a 1 inch wide ribbon. I'm adding it to the left hand side of my top layer. And then I'm going to cover it up with some double-sided tape in there, just to replace the foam, the stickiness of the foam pad that we covered up with the ribbon. And I am going to center this on top of my card. In here I have to make sure that the card opens up on the right way. I am using this as a top folding card today. This is my preferred choice for cards, but you can use it as a side opening one as well if you wish. Now I already created that little bow that you will see in a minute. So from the oval die set, one size up, which is a scalloped one, I cut out of the same silver holographic cardstock as I did use on the card base there, and I have added foam pads to both of those ovals. Again, for dimension, this is very, very optional. For my sentiments, I already prepared a happy birthday and a sent with love one. So for both of these, I used a stamp and die set from Chloe's Creative Cards again, and this is the tiny tag and sentiment plaque. It has a lovely dies, plaques in 2 different sizes, one slightly larger than the other, and the tiny tag, and sentiments to fit both. I've heat embossed the sentiments using polished silver embossing powder by Wow. And I've cut the plaques out, the larger one of that same pink color I used for one of those layers. And I added some metallic thread through the little tiny tag, and that's purple as well, obviously. And now I'm just layering up the 2 ovals towards the right hand side of the card. And I'm just made sure in here that I will have enough room for my sentiment plaque to go on the top right corner in there. To attach the butterflies, I'm just adding a little liquid glue and behind the body of the butterfly and the 2 very edges of the wings. As you can see, I already added some little dimension to those butterflies, and to do that I just literally pinched them upwards a bit and added a little curve just with my fingers. So it was nothing fancy, but I just like to add that dimension. But of course, if you're hand delivering these cards, you don't need to stick down the edges of those butterfly wings. I just done that because I will be posting this and I don't want it to flatten down. So the bow will be going to the left hand side and the plaque onto the right hand side. I'm layering the 2 up there, and I have to add 2 layers of foam pads to this one in here, obviously to match the depth of the ovals in there, and just a little liquid glue to the left hand side, and it sits there perfectly. And now I'm going to use my hot glue to add the tiny tag and to add the bow on top of that. And just because I like to complicate sometimes things, and here without checking the bow, I glued it down, and then I realized that the tails were a little bit too long. Now, do not try this at home. I do not recommend that you do this on top of your card, but because this ribbon frays, I have to heat set this, so I'm taking in my lighter. Again, do not do this at home. Paper and flammable and all that. Take the bow off and do it that way. But obviously I had to be a bit awkward, because why not? So I had to cut the other one down to match the length of the other one, and now it sits there perfectly, stopped from fraying as well with my lighter. And I'm adding a sparkler in the middle of that bow, and now I'm going to add just a bit of a glue underneath the ribbon just to attach it to the card as well, so it's not just flapping all over the place in there. I fixed with a bit of a liquid glue the tiny tag in place too. I don't want it to be swinging in there either. And just to finish it off, I'm bringing in some purple rhinestones from one of the bling boxes from Chloe's Creative Cards again, and I'm using these in two of the corners of the cards, so a large one, a medium one, and a small one on the bottom right and the top left corner, just on top of each other. And I think this finishes off the card so beautifully. I love how this card turned out, and just stay tuned for a little minute. I will show you some close-ups at the very end. How gorgeous is this? I don't think I'm making enough purple cards. This one turned out so pretty, so much sparkle. Obviously, I have the topper that we just created today here. It's still drying, but you can see that pink color coming through now in there. And this, and the butterflies as well. And this will be turned into a completely different card. So if you would like to see what I'm going to make with that one, make sure you have subscribed to my channel, and when you've done that, hit the notification bell so you will get notified of all the videos that I will be uploading, because that video will be coming up very soon too. How gorgeous is this card? I really hope that my crafty friend will love it as much as I do. And there's some close-ups showing you a lot more of the gorgeous shine and sparkle. And let me know, do you like large cards like these, or do you prefer smaller cards? I love creating both. I would love to know what would you like to see on my channel in the future. Leave me a comment and give me the thumbs up if you like this tutorial. I will be back very soon with another one. And do not forget to check out the video that I will link at the very end of this one, where I used a completely different embossing folder to create a gorgeous card, and I didn't have matching dies to that one. I hope to see you soon. Bye!